Well, hey guys, we're gonna talk about another movie today. I saw Novocaine. I want to say it feels like not that long ago. I think I saw it 1 week after it came out, and I actually really enjoyed it, so I wanted to talk about it. So in this movie, Jack Quaid plays his character Nathan Kane, who has a condition that part of the I don't know if you call it pros or cons. He can't feel pain. This movie sort of plays with the pros and cons of that aspect. And so it's interesting to think about because I've personally never known anyone that has this condition. But in the movie, he mentions how when he's diagnosed as a child, that most children, I guess, aren't expected to live till adulthood with this condition. So I guess it takes a lot of patience, maturity, and focus and attention to be able to, I guess, survive so long with this condition. Because this movie sort of pointed out so many little subtleties of how someone could end up basically being killed accidentally having this. And so this movie, I think, does a really great job of showing the sort of fun side of it for an action movie, but also shows the cons having this as well. So in the movie, Nathan Kane doesn't really eat solid food, and that's part of his story in the beginning. And so I think this movie, it just made it really interesting. The pros and cons of having this, I think the movie made it really interesting and then entertaining because it is an action movie at the end of the day. So I like what they did with that. So let's talk about the story. If you saw the trailer, Nathan falls for this girl Sherry at his work, and he doesn't really get out much. He doesn't really date, but he starts falling in love with this girl, and they have this date. It seems like it's going great, and then they both work at this bank, gets robbed. So there's these three robbers, and they end up taking her hostage to get away. So I believe all that was in the trailer, so I hope that's not really spoiling too much. And that sort of propels the rest of the plot. The entire plot of the movie is based off of this. And so what made it interesting is not too far into the movie, we get a pretty neat plot twist where we see some of them got split up. So 2 out of 3 robbers are now with Sherry. We get these scenes where they're talking with her, and we find out that Sherry was sort of in on it. And so they drop that bombshell. But this is, like I said, toward the beginning of this sort of adventure Nathan Kane is going on, because he takes the not feel pain aspect of his life to try to take it upon himself and go find and rescue Sherry. And so it's just early on, knowing that Sherry's a part of it, even though she didn't want to hurt him, she doesn't know he's going after her. So he's going through this whole movie, the whole rest of the plot, knowing that he doesn't really need to save her at all. And so there's almost like this, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. You just root for Nathan. There's really nothing about him that makes you not like him. He's this extremely likable guy. He's a sweet guy. And you're just rooting for him the whole time because even though he has kind of gotten screwed, he's just trying to save the girl. So let him try. Let him do what he's got to do. And so where the action part comes in is the sort of, I wouldn't say graphic violence, but there's some gross violence that happens because of him not being able to feel pain. They're able to sort of doctor up. However, the practical effects did this to make it look where he looks like he'd be in extreme searing pain, but he's just not. And so I think that's the part that made it entertaining. Like, for example, I know in the trailer, he puts his hand into this pot of boiling grease. And seeing his burned hand, that was gross. And that was toward the beginning of the action sequences as well. And so there was a level of grossness to it, but it wasn't so over the top that it was a negative for me. I actually appreciated the depth they went to doing this. And so another sequence in the trailer is when he's punching the glass so he can use that to punch this guy. And so I think a lot of those sequences just made it fun. Toward the beginning, after Sherry's taken hostage, he sort of goes on this escapade to try to go bring her back, I would say fairly early on in the movie. So there's a good part of the movie that is just the action stuff, which I think was interesting because I expected the action to be sort of here and there, but it was just a lot of action, and I think that was the part when people saw this trailer that they would find interesting, and so that's what we got as fans of this movie. I think that's what we got, and so that's when I say that's why this was so entertaining, is because I felt like I got what I wanted out of this movie and more. So obviously, as the movie's coming toward the end, that means Nathan Kane is now getting close to finding Sherry. When he does, there's sort of this altercation between him and Simon, which was one of the robbers who turns out to be her brother. And there's this little tussle between them where Simon ends up getting away and Sherry ends up taking off. Nathan is being taken. They're all just sort of separated for another 5 minutes until they meet back again for the sort of final fight. This final fight was where I don't want to say gross, but there's bone snapping. I'll just say that. And it was a satisfying ending. Nathan Kane, I mean, he was screwed over the whole time, but at the end of the day, Sherry ended up being with him because of everything he did for her, or was trying to do for her. And so, yeah, she got some jail time, and technically speaking, she would have got a lot more than she did in the movie, but it's a movie. What are you going to do? So, Nathan Kane did get his happy ending after all. He finally got to meet his online gamer friend in person. He finally got the girl. He beat the bad guys, and he's still going to live. He didn't die. That's sort of the gag joke at different parts of the movie is don't die. And, well, he didn't. So it was a fun movie. It was a fun sort of action movie. I don't know how memorable it will be in a few years, but it's definitely one I'm going to pick up when it comes to physical media. So if you have an interest in it, I would say check it out. I loved it. Maybe you guys will too. Thanks for watching.